At first, it was just a few unusually warm days. Then the seasons stopped making sense. Winters shortened, springs vanished, and summers turned into endless heat waves that choked entire cities. But no one paid enough attention. The warnings piled up over decades, buried under empty promises and fruitless meetings. In the end, nature stopped waiting for humanity to act. The change came suddenly and mercilessly. The oceans, exhausted from absorbing the planet's heat, began to shift. Marine currents, the regulators of the global climate, altered irreversibly. The seas swallowed coastal cities, turning entire metropolises into ghost islands submerged beneath meters of murky water. Inland, drought seized fertile lands, transforming farmlands into vast, barren deserts of dust. The air, laden with smoke and particles, became unbreathable. Wildfires, once seasonal, turned into perpetual phenomena, consuming entire forests and cloaking the planet in a shroud of ash. Storms, powerful and uncontrolled, swept everything in their path. Hurricanes, tornadoes, and deluges that seemed to defy any historical record. Infrastructure crumbled, roads disintegrated, bridges collapsed, and buildings that once symbolized human power toppled like houses of cards. Governments, overwhelmed and disorganized, dissolved into chaos. Nations turned inward, unable to handle the massive exodus of climate refugees. Resources, scarce and contested, became the new gold. Clean water and canned food were worth more than any paper fortune. Humanity faced the consequences of its own neglect, and instead of uniting, it fractured even more, fighting over the last remnants of a world that no longer existed. Systems that once kept civilization running collapsed one by one. Without electricity, clean water, and with an unforgiving climate, survival became the only goal. Earth, now battered by extreme temperatures and uncontrollable weather events, made it clear that the age of man had ended. The survivors, scattered and desperate, sought refuge in places that still offered a modicum of protection: old mines, underground stations, and the rubble of what were once great buildings. Some attempted to organize into small settlements, but the lack of resources and the hostile environment made cohabitation nearly impossible. Potable water became the most valuable currency, and conflicts over its control were frequent and bloody. As the planet grew increasingly inhospitable, the few who remained tried to adapt to their new environment. Small groups of survivors wandering the desolate landscapes learned to read the signs of the unpredictable climate, to scavenge what little was left to eat, and to shield themselves from storms that could arise at any moment. The remnants of humanity were now nomads in a world that no longer wanted them. As time passed, myths about safe zones began to circulate among the groups. Places where nature hadn't unleashed its full fury, where rains were frequent but not deadly, and where temperatures were bearable. But these rumors were as fleeting as clean water, and many perished in search of these supposed paradises. Finally, humanity was reduced to small groups that could barely recognize themselves in the mirror of what they once were. The days of glory and technological advancement were only distant memories, buried under mountains of rubble and dust. In this new world, the lesson was clear but too late. Nature doesn't negotiate, and the price of negligence was near total extinction. As humanity fights to survive in this ravaged world, the last storm is just the beginning. Will they find a new path, or is this truly the end? Find out in the next video and follow the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Your support means everything.